Hey, what's up everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and today I'm going to be playing Hangtown 2017 in MX Simulator for a little video where I'm going to talk about the upcoming National Motocross Championship in the AMA series, not the GPs, the AMA series. And I figured I'd keep this series going. I did this in MXSA TV Supercross Encore with the official track gameplays where I talked a little bit about the series. And given that I no longer do track walks on the official tracks anymore, and it's all custom stuff, I figured I could turn my little gameplays that I would do on the official tracks into a little discussion about the series and what I think is going to happen or what my opinions are on certain situations. Basically, most of the viewers of the channel should know exactly how this went when I did the Encore gameplays, but if you guys don't watch any of those videos, this is all new to you, so welcome for the first time. Hangtown 2017, by the way, is created by the RF Track crew, which I believe Ryan Mahan helped out with, and then Stephen Barrington, Kyle Watts, and Race Carlin did some touching up on to get it to final release, which it'll be raced on Thursday this week, the week of May 15th or whatever. Today's the 16th, the Tuesday of that week. So on Thursday the 18th, be sure to tune in to twitch.tv/StartYourSystemsTV as we will be having a live broadcast of the pro races in this game, and you guys will be able to catch all of that lovely action. But I digress about anything simulated. Let's move on to the real life stuffies. The biggest news of the week is the retirement of Ryan Dungey, and I wanted to touch a little bit on this before I got too deep into the discussion of the upcoming championship, just to kind of, you know, talk over the highlights of Dungey's career just real fast and kind of give the man props, because I feel like given the way that this whole championship went down in Supercross, suddenly everybody that was kind of alright with Dungey has turned into like mega Dungey haters, and the people that already like Dungey like him even more now, because that's what happens when a rivalry is born, that everybody picks a side and nobody can see one side or the other. I get why people were frustrated about KTM displaying team orders and allowing Marvin Musquin to win a race, but it's not the reason that Dungey won that championship. It was only a 3-point difference for that whole matter at the end of it, and Tomac lost the championship by more than 3 points, so Dungey would have been the champion no matter what happened in New Jersey. So knock it off with the team orders comments. It did nothing to the championship. But in terms of Ryan Dungey's career, it did staple on a 4th Supercross title. Whether or not you believe he deserves it doesn't really matter, because in the record books and in the AMA rulebook, they believe he deserves it. So obviously that's going to go down in history as Ryan Dungey's championship. And it's a pretty awesome way to go out in a career. I mean, not too many people get to just go out on top. We saw it more recently in F1 with Nico Rosberg retiring as the F1 World Champion, but even in motocross, it's not like people just leave on the top all the time, or really ever. Ryan Villopoto is kind of the closest recent example to that, where he won the Supercross championship and then retired from Supercross, but then kept racing the GP series. Ricky Carmichael even didn't necessarily retire on top, because he won the championships in 06, but then like kind of did a half season in 2007 as a farewell season, so he didn't win any of the championships in 2007, but he won some races, and you know, that was cool. Like I said, it's probably the closest thing you're going to get to what Dungey did, which is win the championship and then announce the retirement pretty much right after it. Yeah, he could have done it at Vegas, because I think he already had his mind made up, but decided to wait until a week after, finally announced his retirement, and hey, good on him. What a career, and he deserves every accreditation and praise that he's going to get through his lifetime for everything that he's done. KTM as a brand owes him a huge debt of gratitude, because they kind of took a chance on him with a not completely up to snuff ailing machine that was not ridden very well by Mike Alessi and Andrew Short the year before. Roger DeCoster comes in, rebuilds the machine, and you know, they hire Ryan Dungey, and 2 rounds into the Supercross season in 2012, he wins them their first ever Supercross main event, and then the rest is kind of history. 3 Supercross championships with KTM, 2 outdoor championships. So most of his success came with KTM, although he started his 450 season or career and 250 career for that matter on Suzuki. So like I said, KTM in the USA is a lot to do with Ryan Dungey's success and what he was able to do for that brand and with that motorcycle over the years. And I think we'll be seeing the benefits of that with KTM pouring money into the sport for the next probably good 10 years until they reach a really bad string of not winning championships or anything along those lines. And that's good because it did really revitalize KTM as a brand, especially in the United States. It was already really kicking off in Europe and stuff like that, but in the United States, it was sort of a dead brand for the racing side of things, and Dungey helped revitalize that. But just to go over his stats alone, I mean, Dungey definitely deserves to be considered one of the all-time greats. I know that people are going to want to put a lot of people before him just because of the fact that Dungey didn't necessarily win all of his championships when, quote, everybody was there. And I want to preface this by saying that I do believe Ryan Villopoto is actually better / had the better career than Ryan Dungey, even though statistically Dungey's going to end up kind of a little bit ahead of Villopoto in the record books. Villopoto had more Supercross wins, but the same amount of Supercross championships. They both almost evened out on career titles. Villopoto had 9 if you include his regional Supercross championship. Dungey had 8 if you include his regional Supercross championship. But Dungey has far more 450 motocross wins and sits 4th all-time on the AMA combined wins list with 80. If you combine 450 MX, 450 SX, 250 MX, and 250 SX, he has 80 career AMA victories. That's only, like I said, 4th behind Ricky Carmichael, Jeremy McGrath, and James Stewart. So Dungey is right up there on the Mount Rushmore of motocross stars, if that's what you want to call it, in these last 20 years or so. And definitely deserves a lot of credit for the career that he's had. And I don't know, like it totally sounds like I'm just sitting here blowing Dungey, I know, but it just doesn't seem fair that a guy that has done so much in his career and is going to be remembered for really the way that he approached the sport with a tremendously positive personality about pretty much everything, grew the sport to new levels because he was the first man ever to win an ESPY for Best Male Action Sports Athlete in the motocross realm, and he did it twice. And then just all around a really great role model for kids, someone that obviously I think a lot of people would want their kids to grow up to be like. Just really hard-working kid, never let life get him down too much, and even when he was getting pretty much whooped on in Supercross by Villopoto, always kept his head down, always wanted to do right for just anybody that supported him. Represented the United States 6 times in the Motocross of Nations and won 3 times in 2009, 10, and 11. And even through all those trying years recently, still showed up 3 more times in what could only be considered years where USA was not necessarily sending the A team, if you will, and still raced for his country. Did a damn good job, I would say. And I'm just happy that I got to experience Ryan Dungey's career up close and in person, and I think we all should be grateful that someone like him came around and really kind of revitalized the sport into a more mainstream light. And you know, great career, great guy, great team, great career, great everything. Ryan Dungey is going to go down as one of the greats, and deservedly so. So let's move on from Dungey then and start talking a little bit about this championship that he will not be competing in, which is the 450 AMA Motocross Championship, of which you're seeing round 1 being played right here, Hangtown. And I will say that even though Dungey, you know, may have made it a little bit more interesting, I still think Eli Tomac is going to be the guy to beat going in outdoors. Obviously, he was pretty much the guy to beat in Supercross, but it took him so long to get to that point that Dungey already had a almost insurmountable championship lead, and that's ultimately what won Dungey the title anyway, was having such a big lead early on. So Tomac coming off of Supercross, good momentum, obviously the fastest guy in the circuit, and with no Dungey there, not really any kind of consistent threat to count on. Musquin's going to be great. Anderson might start riding a little bit better. I hope so. I think the biggest person to watch in all of this headed to outdoors, though, is Blake Baggett, because Baggett had a Supercross season like we really have never seen from him before. He'd only had 1 podium before this season, and it was at Daytona. And then he comes into this year and hits the box a couple more times, and really was starting to kind of be almost like a spoiler in the championship run for Dungey about the midpoint of the season. For a guy on a KTM, he was kind of getting in there and riding really well. So his confidence level obviously has to be really high, and going in outdoors, which is something that he is the man at, if you will, I'm sure that he's ready to do battle with Tomac or with Musquin or whoever he can to try to prove that he winning that outdoor championship that he won in the 250 class in 2012 was no fluke. He raced against all those guys, Musquin, Anderson, Tomac, etc., in that season and whooped them all. So I'm sure Baggett is hoping that his 450 career is starting to turn around and look up a little bit, and I definitely expect him to be in contention for several podiums outdoors. I think he can definitely win at least a couple motos, if not a couple overalls on top of that. So we should watch out for Baggett. I think Baggett's going to be kind of not necessarily the dark horse. I don't want to say that he's going to just fly under the radar and surprise everyone, but it's almost like everyone's just thinking Eli Tomac's going to walk away with this thing. And I think that there's still quite a bit of good competition out there that can challenge him for it. Obviously, Musquin is probably riding the best we've seen him ride on a 450 yet, and he already was looking great outdoors last year on a 450, so I think he only gets better. And then, a plethora of guys in there. Anderson, Josh Grant looked great at the finale and could contend. And then just a general musing of people behind that might contend as well. Hopefully Barcia starts turning it around on the JGR Suzuki team and starts riding like Justin Barcia knows how to ride, because clearly this has not been his year so far in Supercross. And just recently, 2015 was a multi-time national motocross winner, went to the Motocross of Nations for Team USA, so obviously he knows how to get it done. It's just a matter of whether or not he gets that Suzuki figured out and likes the package he has underneath of him to be able to contend, because when he was happy at JGR 2 years ago, he was flying on the rails for sure. But regardless of all that, I still think that as long as he doesn't get the injury bug back, it's going to be Eli Tomac's year to win this outdoor championship. But on the topic of his injury bug, if you will, I don't think that we're necessarily out of the waters yet from a Tomac disaster of implosion levels happening, because it wasn't all that long ago, 2015 to be exact, that we saw Eli Tomac just killing everybody outdoors. 6 motos in, and it looked like he was about to be 6-0, going handily into the points lead. Dungey was struggling. Roxon had the back issue, so he wasn't even close. And then Tomac folds up like a lawn chair at Colorado and ends the season prematurely, and double shoulder surgery, etc., etc. And the reason I'm bringing that up again is because right now it seems like Tomac has kind of reached the level of speed that he was at before that crash happened, where he was just... It was almost otherworldly how fast he was able to attack the track. And now he's kind of there again, and it worries me that a similar situation will happen. And as good as Tomac is and as talented as he is, I just don't see him being able to ride at that pace that long without having something bad happen. I mean, that is the mantra of James Stewart's career, was he had amazing talents, immense pace all the time, but crashed a lot because he was pushing the envelope so much. And I'm not necessarily saying that Tomac's riding over his head all the time, but it clearly seems like he's on a level that not many other people can do, and while that does speak to his natural ability, I think it also speaks to the level of commitment he's displaying on the track that other people just won't do because they feel it might be unsafe or might be an opportunity for them to crash hard. So I do think Tomac is going to win this championship, even if he has a crash or two, even a big crash. I still think he wins the championship, but I just hope it doesn't derail too bad like it has in the past, where he is flying along, loving every minute of it, and before you know it, it's all over, and it's ugly too. So that would be the only thing that could stop Tomac from just railing everybody all summer, was just a big crash that ended his season. But I don't know. I don't see it happening that way. I do see him maybe cooling down a little bit, riding a little bit smarter now that he doesn't have someone of Dungey's level of consistency pushing him all the time. He might not have to worry too much about winning every race all the time because he's got to make up as many points. So he can afford to have a, kind of a bad moto or two and play it safe once he gets a bad start. So I guess we'll see how it plays out. When it comes to Hangtown, I do think that he goes in there and goes 1-1. I don't see how anybody else comes in there and does something different. Muscan has never been really that awesome at Hangtown. You could look for someone like Cooper Webb to maybe just suddenly shine through, but it is his first year on a 450, and obviously his Supercross season didn't go as planned, so not going to be too hot there. And then I don't know. I look through the field and I don't see anybody that's really going to be that level with him. Blake Baggett might be the surprise and come out and maybe challenge for a moto win or two at Hangtown because he's always been pretty good there as well. But again, it just seems like one of those races where everybody knows Tomac is going to kick ass and he's going to go out there and kick ass. But that's why they dropped the gate. Who knows? Maybe Tomac ends up down in the first corner and the perfect season dreams are over before they start. I've seen a lot of comments of people saying Tomac's going to be the next Stu Carmichael and go 24-0 and have a perfect season. And he certainly has the talent to do that, but there's 24 motos and 40 other guys on every gate in that moto that wanted to say something differently about that 24-0 dream before we get all the way to the end of the season. So not seeing the 24-0 in the cards, but we could get 12 rounds into, or 12 motos, so 6 rounds into the season, and we might be looking at a completely different tone to what I just mentioned right there. And Tomac might just be dominating everybody so badly that there is no competition for him, and he doesn't even have to push that hard to win out the rest of the season. But I got Tomac outdoors. Maybe you guys do too. I certainly hope you do, because if you're betting against him, it's going to look like a long, bleak season for you where you might be losing a fair bit of money if you've laid down some high wagers on that one. But let's move on to the 250 class just to kind of wrap up our discussion here of the upcoming Hangtown National. And man, oh man, this 250 class is very interesting. On paper, it looks like Jeremy Martin is just the clear and away favorite, and that honestly nobody is really even in the same ballpark. Martin, 2-time outdoor champion, multiple-time winner in the class, and on a factory-level bike on that Geico Honda machine, and clearly knows how to win the championship and win races, so no problem, right? Well, other than the fact that his Supercross season was pretty much nothing short of a disaster, it seems like Martin is struggling a little bit of late, and just lost a championship last year to his teammate Cooper Webb, so he's not the most recent champion. He's not coming in as the defending champion or anything like that. And like I said, while he probably is the favorite, there are some question marks, concerns regarding how comfortable he already is on that Geico Honda coming into outdoors, and whether he is going to be able to find some more of the luck that he didn't have in Supercross, because he had an atrocious Supercross season, as mentioned. So on paper, it's going to be Martin, but off the paper, you could pick between 9 other guys to really get in there and challenge. Obviously, Zach Osborne just coming off of that 250 East Championship and already kind of an outdoor specialist, for lack of a better word of it. He's obviously looking like a guy that could come out there and just completely blow Jeremy Martin's doors off, given the speed that he's shown and the training aspect of it with Alden Baker and training with Muscan and now Anderson with no Dungey, but still getting pretty much the best training program there is to offer in the sport. And now the confidence level is up from winning the championship, and Osborne just looks like he is going to be really tough to beat going in outdoors. On the flip side of that, Justin Hill, the other 250 Supercross champion this year on the West Coast, has never really said he's liked outdoors too much, has been kind of outspoken about how he's a Supercross guy. He's looking forward to moving up to the 450 full-time already anyway. So while Hill could get in there, maybe win a moto or two, I don't necessarily see him being a title threat. That's not to say he doesn't come out there, surprise everyone, start winning races, and just turn on the win mode Justin Hill that we know. But his track record does not suggest that he is going to go out there and really be super competitive when it comes to outdoors. So Supercross could be an indication of how well Zach Osborne does outdoors, but it might not necessarily be an indication of how well Justin Hill is going to do outdoors. Behind that, you know, most recently we saw Alex Martin finish second in the outdoor championship. He's moved over to TLD KTM now. Not too sure how that's going to affect him. He was always really good at starts, but man, those Star Racing Yamaha bikes are really good at starts, and it's kind of tough to beat them off of the line, especially when that power unit is so well in the Yamaha and those bikes work so great. You know, even the power and knowledge of Alex Martin off the start, and as small as he can get the power to the ground pretty quickly. Maybe the fact that he is on a TLD KTM means less good starts, which might equal less good finishes as well. Just kind of trying to pick apart what could go wrong for Alex Martin. Otherwise, it kind of seems like the sky is still the limit. Although he's been in the class for a long time, and you know, the kind of under the radar older brother of Jeremy Martin, Alex had put together a career year last year, finally put together some race wins, and looks like he is going into outdoors just looking for a fresh slate. He also, like his brother, had a kind of a rough Supercross season and just wants to get the outdoors started. And so really the Martin brothers could be kind of in the same ballpark where they've both been there, they've had the experience, they look like on paper they might be really fast and competitive, but it might be a completely different story once we get to Hangtown and see who's really up front. Last year at Hangtown, for that matter, Joey Savacci was the guy. Savacci just was dominant all day at Hangtown and looked like he was going to maybe challenge Webb and Martin to win this title going all the way to the wire, except for after he lost the championship lead halfway through the season, he just kind of faltered and never really seemed to get his mojo back. So maybe the same Savacci shows up this year and dominates Hangtown, but for the sake of him, I hope the same Savacci that was also there for the second half of the season doesn't show up, and he can actually go through the whole season, be a championship contender, be very fast, competitive. Whether or not he's going to be the champion, I don't necessarily see that being in the cards, because Savacci, like I said, kind of imploded at the second half of last year. And then he just had that super dramatic finish to his East Coast Championship where he lost the title basically in the second to last corner when Osborne passed him. But even on the East Coast, Savacci wasn't the dominant force, didn't win the most races, struggled, and just looks like he's not in a very good spot. But I look for him to turn it around. Obviously, he knows how to win outdoors and was just there last year, so maybe he does figure it out. Maybe he does find a way to be super competitive, win races, and be a contender. And the same can be said for Aaron Plessinger, another guy that still has not won a championship, but has won races outdoors and is obviously a better fit when it comes to outdoors anyway because of his size and stature. Very big, lanky guy, loves the outdoor feel, comes from Grand National Cross Country Racing, so he likes deep ruts, gnarly tracks, all that good stuff. And Plessinger, I think, could be a big factor, but he has to get his starts figured out. That was what killed him all Supercross season. If he can start up front, I think he's going to run up front and finish up front every week. But if he doesn't start up front, he's going to struggle his way through the field and maybe not be the same type of contender we might expect out of Aaron Plessinger. As for the pro circuit guys, I talked about Savacci. I talked about Hill a little bit. But I think the guy that might actually be the best rider on that team is Adam Cianciarulo, just winning the Vegas East-West Shootout, having his best Supercross season pretty much ever, because he did win a lot of races when he broke into the scene in 2013, but his dislocated shoulder ended his season prematurely, and finally makes it through the season, wins a couple races, almost wins the championship, now has a lot of confidence going in outdoors where he already was pretty good last year. So maybe he steps it up again. Maybe he breaks through and can find that extra gear outdoors, challenge those guys. I mean, we all know that he grew up pretty much whooping on Cooper Webb, and now look at where Webb is. Factory Yamaha 450, was a champion last year in the class. Cianciarulo knows that level of speed and knows how to ride like that. It's just whether he can put it all together, just like a lot of these guys that I talked about. Who knows what a lot of these guys are going to do. We hope that they all figure it out and it's just a 10-rider freight train for 24 motos, but obviously that's not the case, and some guys will slip and fall down into the top 10 a little bit further, or some guys will surprise us and come through that would have been a 6 to 12 guy and end up running top 3 every week or something like that. That could be Dylan Ferrandis, the rookie out of France who put together a great Supercross season and pretty much was the only guy in GPs and MX2 for a couple years there that could give Jeffrey Hurlings an honest run for his money, and Hurlings was by far the fastest 250 rider on the planet for a while there. So I think Ferrandis has a lot to be excited for going in outdoors, not just the fact that finally he's racing American motocross, but he had a good Supercross season despite the fact that he was kind of written off by a lot of people. So a lot of confidence going there. And another star racing guy that could shine through. Back to PC real quick, though, just to touch on Austin Forkner. 4th in the MX Championship last year, a couple wins, and looked like going into Supercross, he might even be the championship guy when it comes to the 250 West region, but then had a rough Supercross season. So just another one of those guys that is looking to turn it around, hoping that motocross is a better suit for them. And Forkner was fantastic in his rookie season last year, and I look for him only to get better. So where does that leave him? Like, I don't really know. I don't know if he suddenly breaks through and wins every week, or if he still is just like a podium contender like he was last year. But either way, like, he's got to be looking towards outdoors as something that he can definitely improve on his Supercross season and carry some momentum forward. TLD KTM guys talked about Amart, but they have Jordan Smith, Shane McElrath, Mitchell Oldenburg, all of which can be easily top 10 guys week in and week out. McElrath and Smith probably could be race winners. It's just, I mean, this 250 class is gnarly. It's super deep. It seems like it's deep every year, but unlike every year, I just don't necessarily see like a clear runaway favorite. Coming into last year, even though he was hurt, Cooper Webb looked like the 250 guy to beat in Supercross, and I thought he would carry that to outdoors, and he did. So it just made sense. But I mean, Zach Osborne might be the guy to beat because he won the most 250 Supercross races this year and has a championship to show for it now. But he's only ever won one overall motocross race before, and I know he likes the outdoors just a little bit better than Supercross, but that doesn't necessarily translate into coming from Supercross and winning the championship to instantly being just the best guy outdoors as well. So it's completely wide open. My honest opinion when it comes to Hangtown is I see someone like Savacci or Adam Cianciarulo winning the first moto, and then Osborne, when everybody else gets a little bit more tired later in the day, the California heat kicks in maybe, Osborne wins the second moto. J Mart cruises in for a couple podiums to just, get the ball rolling, get his season started before he starts kicking it up when it goes east. But I think overall winner is probably going to be Osborne, and I would say it's going to be like Osborne, J Mart, Savacci on the podium. But even that I'm reluctant to say because I see Savacci maybe having a bad moto. It's all up in the air. Like, who knows what's honestly going to happen in this 250 class? Not even the guys racing the class honestly know what to expect, because there's like 10 guys that could easily just like come out, dominate Hangtown, and we'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. That guy definitely could do that on a week-to-week basis. But to say that someone's going to do that all year long, I don't know. I don't see anybody that's going to be that guy yet. So I got Osborne for Hangtown. I got Tomac in the 450 class. I'd love to hear your guys' picks as well, and all of your opinions, of course, that you have to offer about the series. Love doing a little bench racing in the comments with you guys and hearing what you guys have to say. And obviously, if you guys have any rebuttals to my comments as well, or things that you'd like to point out that maybe I didn't bring up or I forgot to mention, please be sure to call me on that, because there's a lot to talk about and sometimes I miss it, and I feel bad when I do. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys kind of enjoyed this, start of the series, if you will, because now you guys get to see what the tracks look like in sim, and you hear a little bit about the real life moto stuff. If you guys like this video, please go ahead, like it, you know, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the comment section below with all of your concerns, questions, comments, or whatever you have to bring. But thanks for watching another video on SYS, and we'll see you guys in the next one.